Mark Zuckerberg hired an independent commission to basically tell him that he's holding civil rights back. He really hired an independent team to tell him that information. So basically, Facebook underwent a civil rights audit, and the audit found that the policies that they're enacting are doing more harm than good for civil rights. In essence, they are allowing certain things to fly and they're banning other things. And people already know about this, they may have been a victim of it, but essentially, like I said, this independent finding is claiming that Facebook and their policies, their decision-making policies, are holding back civil rights by being reactionary. They're letting the post fester, and they're getting followers, and they're taking them down after multiple complaints. So they're not being proactive and vigilant, which you would kind of expect in this country. So just certain instances, they're reluctant to limit misinformation, such as Trump talking about protesters, calling them thugs. Whenever there was heavy protests last month, at the start of last month in June, he would say things like looting leads to shooting and just dangerous things like that don't even make sense. People have a right to protest, so why are you disparaging them? But then at the same, on the other side of the coin, you have not civil rights groups, you have hate groups that are actively on social media and continue to operate on the platform. There's a boycott that I did talk about, that there's a bunch of different companies signing up for it to protest Facebook's inactivity. You could say there's over 5,000 companies that are protesting, and Facebook makes their money on advertisements. That's what YouTube makes their money on, Instagram, all these social media platforms. A majority of their money comes from advertisers, and these advertisers don't want to see their logos next to or in videos or posts next to posts that have just non-inclusive rhetoric to it. And you would understand that as a business, you'd want to be looking out for your own personal interests. That's perfectly understandable. But for Mark Zuckerberg personally, it doesn't seem like he's doing the same for his company. It seems like there's a principled stance that he's taking, and it's to the detriment to to civil rights. It's just wild to say that. There's an argument to be made that social media is less of an online forum nowadays as it is a town hall. It's much more of a community than a forum. Even though it is online, you see pictures of people, there's millions of people on the platform. So there are arguments to be made that it should be regulated like a small town, in essence, more or less. So that's the question I have for you all. Would you police? Well, I mean, something needs to be done, but do you feel comfortable with Silicon Valley policing these certain things, or should we just say, government probably should have some type of regulated guidelines for social media? The thing about it with me is that Facebook it's a company, it's a private company. They have their own set of guidelines, they have their own rules, and they're independent from governments. They don't have to have the exact same rules as a government because they're a private company. So from that aspect, Zuckerberg he's just doing his thing as a business owner. He's not liable for the things that happen on his platform, and that's the way he's thinking of it. He's taking a hands-off approach, but then whenever you start taking things down in terms of COVID, people want to see other things being taken down in the name of misinformation as well, such as politically charged posts. That can lead to heavy misinformation. So you can't just open the Pandora's box for regulating information and expect people to just be okay with it, because it's extremely hypocritical to regulate misinformation for COVID, which is extremely necessary and something that you should do, but at the same time not regulate just hate speech or just wrong information. It doesn't make any sense. There's no equivalence there. So yeah, what do you all think? Do you trust Silicon Valley, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to police these platforms themselves? Because Zuckerberg, he went to school for engineering. He's a coder. I don't even know if he's a coder, but he definitely went for some kind of engineering, and I don't know what kind of policies he knows personally or politically. So would you be comfortable with Silicon Valley policing these platforms, or do you think government should intervene and implement some kind of base structure for inclusivity and things like that? Because Twitter, they get the same thing about blocking off lesbians that have that turf mentality. I don't know if that's a derogatory word or not. I just learned it. But people that have that opinion that trans people are not biologically what they want to be identified as, versus just talking pro LGBT, because those are all just opinions. Just hate it or love it, that's just what another person feels. And it gets really tricky whenever you want to silence one crowd but not the exact opposite crowd. So it's unfair, and it's just kind of getting into dangerous territory. If you're gonna let one party speak, let them speak their mind. So that's all I have to say about this Mark Zuckerberg situation. It seems like he's taking a principled stance, and he's not really doing anything, but we might see that change sooner rather than later, because like I said, these advertisements, they're trying to hit his pockets. So, just let me know what you think, and I'll keep you updated on it.